All right, Coach Greenlee. First things first, welcome to the live broadcast here. Like I like having conversation with guys like you. You were actually the first person I talked to when all of this came down. When I started doing these video interviews, you were the guy.
Yeah, I remember.
We were. It was actually during like my lunch break or something. It was crazy. So, yeah, man.
Classes or something.
Yeah, it was in between. It was my lunch break. Yeah, and I had to cut you short because I had class starting. But now we're in a different world right now. A month and a half ago from when you and I talked to now, 2 months going on, a month and a half, about 6 weeks. It's a different world, and the world's changed a lot in every way, shape, and form. The future of America's changed, economically speaking. Our retirement's changed, but what have you been up to for the last 6 weeks since we talked, since the cancellation of the tournament?
Seems like you have a lot of conference calls, a lot of Zoom calls, a lot of video calls. We're trying to recruit. We're trying to do all those things. I just think it's pretty tough from the standpoint of, if I'm deciding where I want to go to college, I want to get on campus. We have some virtual tours and stuff like that, but I still want to get on campus and check it out. And to me, a face-to-face meeting is more important than a phone meeting or anything like that. So, we're plugging away at it. We're giving our guys some workouts to do and what they can do. And it's a little bit tough from the standpoint of you might have a really good weight room in your house or garage or basement, whatever it might be, and the next guy got a couple 5-gallon buckets, and that's it.
Like what prompted us to talk yesterday is I got a call from a high school coach, and there were some concerned people about a tweet that was sent out by Ohio University Wrestling, and then I retweeted it and I said this is a death penalty for a lot of Olympic sports. But off camera, you and I are talking, and it's something your college coach told you, and it's something you told me, and it was about the opportunity for the future. And my kids are 4 and 2-year-old boys, right? And what'd you tell me about them?
My college coach, that was the time when Title IX was really hitting wrestling programs hard and budget cuts and all that stuff. And he told me, we were on a road trip somewhere, and he told me one time that if it keeps going the way it was going, my kids wouldn't have an opportunity to wrestle. And for me, wrestling's been pretty important. I mean, it's given me opportunities, experiences, really shaped my life that I wouldn't have had otherwise. So it's important to me.
It's like it's what brought you to Ohio, over 22 years ago, right, Joel? 97, 96 or 97? When did you show up?
97.
97, because I remember I was in that first recruiting class that you were trying to get. I actually verbally committed to you guys, and then I didn't win the state title, and it was like, I don't think you're going to change the offer anyway. You were still like, hey, we're going to give you what we're going to give you. And then, that just changed, and my mom and dad were like, hey, it's 4 hours away. Good luck. We're not going to help you if you go there. And I went to Kent, which was 2 hours closer, and that changed me. But like wrestling changed my life, right? Like I could have gone to Bowling Green or Toledo and not wrestled, and that would have changed my life. I never would have met my wife, and she played volleyball at Kent. I wrestled, so it changed my life, and it's obviously changed yours. But what's it been like, since you've been there at Ohio University? You guys have had, some of this as far as it goes. Not even, I'm saying, like, not even competition, but 2008, 2009, we had a downturn in the economy, right? We had the housing crisis. Now we've got this. What's it been like for you to kind of balance it all and keep a competitive team on the mat?
I just think it's, slow and steady. You got to keep plugging away, and you're in the mat, so you're going to have a little bit of ups and downs anyway. We can't really stockpile talent like a lot of places do, but I think we can still get kids that are great and can compete for a national title and All-American status and stuff like that. So, you just got to keep plugging away and building good relationships and working hard at it. Make sure your staff's working hard at it, and you'll be in good shape.
When you look at, when you send a tweet out yesterday, did you anticipate that so many people would get nervous about it?
Yeah, I knew that before I sent it. But my thing was this: is like I said, wrestling's super important to me, and I'm not concerned about Ohio University wrestling. To be honest, I mean, I think we have a great athletic director, we have a great sports supervisor, we have a great president that are committed to keeping sports, committed to keeping people here through this tough time. Um, but I'm, and I'm not necessarily just worried about wrestling. I'm worried about everybody. Golf, tennis, field hockey, soccer, softball, baseball, all that stuff. If you're allowed to reduce the number of sports, if the NCAA allows schools to reduce the minimum number of sports.
What is the minimum number right now, Joel? And what's that actual breakdown when they talk Title IX and when they talk about gender equity? When they talk about you got to have X amount of sports to be to be Division I in basketball and football, because we all know those are the two big ones: basketball, men's basketball, and football. They're the cash cows. What is the breakdown, Joel?
Well, first of all, Zeb, I'm a wrestling coach, so I don't know all that stuff. What I know is to be an FBS school is you have to have a minimum number of 16 sports. Okay. For Ohio University, we have 6 men's sports and 11 women's sports. I know that. Other than that, I really don't know. But I just know I think all sports are important. It helps all students, and it adds value to the school, and it adds value to your athletic program. I know athletics in general. When I was driving this morning, the OHSAA has a commercial out about how important high school athletics is, the development of kids. Well, I feel the same way about college students.
Joel, you obviously know the breakdown. It's 16 sports, and what we've seen is it's rumored so far. What I've seen, I've seen confirmed reports. I've seen rumors. They want to grant a waiver to NCAA, like a relief waiver. Hey, you can have less sports and still be a part of FBS Division I basketball and all that, because you have to sponsor so many intercollegiate athletic men's and women's sports. 16 is the number right now. I'm hearing 14. I don't know if you've heard what I've heard, but that would obviously that would affect Olympic sports.
Yeah, I haven't heard a number. Whether it be 14, 15, I haven't heard a number, so I don't know any of that. And from my standpoint, I'm concerned, for the Olympic sports, and I think sometimes. If you're old school like I am, they were never called Olympic sports. They were called non-revenue sports. Now they're called Olympic sports. So sometimes people get mixed up. The Olympic sports, well, what do we care about that? That's basically your old school non-revenue sports at college as well. I'm concerned about all of them. I'm concerned about the men's and women's sports. I just think it's important that, hey, this is a tough time. We knew it was going to be a tough time. We have to find a way to work through it and maybe change the way we do things.
Everything that prompted your tweet, Joel, was the University of Cincinnati, which they are right on the cusp of being a major Power 5 type conference team, right? They're the highest mid-major, I would say. Would you agree with that?
Without putting a lot of thought into it, I'd say, yeah, you're pretty right on.
Yeah. So, but they went and they made this huge hire. They hired Luke Fickell, and you're paying Luke Fickell 7 figures, and Luke Fickell, consequently, incidentally, one of the greatest heavyweights in the history of Ohio high school wrestling, 3-time state champ, and we're talking a wrestling guy, right?
Right.
And so he understands the Olympic sports, and he's made statements like, I'll recruit any state champion in Ohio above 170 pounds. He believes in recruiting wrestlers. He understands the sport of wrestling. He gets it. That being said, Luke Fickell isn't the one who made the decision, but we have a wrestling guy. We have a wrestling guy that's the head coach. Cincinnati drops men's soccer, okay, and then we've seen some other little schools that have done it. some D2 schools that have dropped a bunch of sports, obviously to stay, keep the doors open. But then they make a video. I don't know if you saw it. Football makes a video where they're piling gear in a locker. And this is 2 days after they drop, they make this video. The optics of that are not very good. And I'm guessing Luke Fickle has, it's probably not something he concerns himself with. It's an arms race. We know that. To recruit kids and get them on campus. And in this time, you got to do something. You got to be creative. I'm not faulting him for that. But 2 days after they drop a program, they look at how much gear we can give our guys, right? The optics of aren't good. It's just not good.
I actually saw it and then tweeted back at them or responded their tweet about, I just thought it was insensitive. Talk about not knowing your surroundings and, do you realize you dropped men's soccer 2 days ago? And I don't begrudge those guys from getting gear. And if you look through it, all right, they need a lot of different gear. Okay, do they need everything they get? I doubt it, but it's probably going to be reeled in for them as well in the next few months just because of the environment you're in.
Yeah, and then I saw I think it's the Oklahoma coach. Is it Lincoln Riley?
Yeah.
He said some crazy things. And then the guy with the mullet, the Oklahoma State guy, he said some crazy. I've seen some things these guys have said about like remote training and but football's the king, man. Football's the king. Joel, I think when we're really going to see this economic bear down is that they don't have football next year.
Well, I think we all have our fingers crossed and hope that that's going to happen because that really kind of drives the bus. But I agree. If they don't, man, oh man, college athletics is in a little bit of turmoil.
It's in huge trouble. I mean, there's no question about it. But I mean, I feel good that you're confident about the future of Ohio University wrestling. But what can we do, Joel? What do you think? Like, how do we got to get creative here? What do we got to do to keep our sport viable? And I know you might not have the silver bullet and all the solutions. And I'm just a kid from Waverly, Iowa. Oh, gee shucks, I don't know it all. But, Joel, what do we got to do to stay viable and stay on the front edge of this?
Well, I think you have to make, wherever you're at, you have to make it wrestling important, and you have to do the right things, and you have to have kids that are involved in campus life and involved in being a student athlete, not just a wrestler. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I was a wrestler. I think I put my head down, did what I was supposed to do, and didn't get involved in a whole heck of a lot of other things. And I look back now and kind of wish I would have, just for the viability of the sport. But I think some things that are super important that the NWCA is working on, other wrestling coaches, Tom Ryan's a huge advocate of a dual meet championship. I think dual meets are king. I understand it. I'm a wrestling guy. I actually love to go to tournaments and be there all day, but I don't think, Zeb Miller's wife probably didn't know a whole heck of a lot about wrestling before she met Zeb Miller. When you're taking your kids to a tournament and they're there all day long and they wrestle 3 or 4 matches and they're sleeping in the bleachers and you're there for 10 hours, she's driving home thinking about, man, that basketball's not so bad. We're at a game for 2 hours and we get to go home. So I think even at that level, I get it. You need to wrestle those matches to get better, but I also think, hey, dual meets to grow the sport of wrestling, to get more people involved. Like, you really got the grudge match going with us in Kent. Okay, I think that's pretty important. I know our guys look forward to it. I know their guys look forward to it. It's one of the highlight matches of the year for us. No matter what the year is, you have an opportunity to wrestle. Sorry about that. You have an opportunity to wrestle Kent, and it's going to be no matter if it's there or if it's here, it's going to be a good crowd and it's going to be a fun match. And that's really what I want for my guys. When I look back at my college career, I don't necessarily look back and remember wins and losses and things like that. I remember wrestling in Carver Hawkeye in front of 15,000 people. I remember wrestling in the Unidome during a snowstorm, and we beat Iowa State, and we had 12,000 people there. So I think things like that are important. And sometimes I think we sit on our hands a little bit and think about, well, that's marketing's job or promotion's job. You know what? That's really our job. That's really our job. And I realize, man, it's tough to do all the things that you have to do. But we're kind of the stewards of the sport. We have to keep improving it and keep moving it along and keep it viable.
It's funny you bring the grudge match up. I just sold one of my rental properties. I got a couple rental properties down in Kent. I went to two different ones. And on the mantle, wrestlers lived in both houses. And on the mantle, 2 of the years they beat you.
Yeah.
2 of the years, the grudge match is on 2 different mantles in 2 different houses. And my thing is like, that's cool to them because now you got that up there. You could look at it, like, hey, we got to keep it here another year. That's a huge, like when you hit me up for that, first off, my favorite thing is you hit me up in a year where you guys were going to beat them. And and Andresi was so pissed. He was like, you're making this in a year they're going to beat us. And he knows what he's doing. And at the end of the day, I think that Jimmy really likes it.
Country boy from Waverly, Ohio. Waverly, Iowa. I didn't know.
You knew. And then Scott Blank made that. He's the head coach at Ashtabula St. John. He literally is the one who made it. He was like, this is what I'm going to do. And he wrestled at Kent State. And, they've had some guys that have gone D1 from St. John. Ethan Duca's one of his guys. He's going to Edinburgh next year. And then the Cumberledge kid. Cumberledge was a state runner-up for him. You got Cumberledge, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like it was Scott Blank, and the dude, Scott Blank's a saint, man. He's just a really good guy. He made it, and then we got school canceled, and I had to drive up to Riverside and get it. And a janitor had to let me into we got school canceled in a couple days in a row. And then I think my nephews and I got on a bus, and we came down to Athens.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome. And then, but I mean, you made an event out of it. And that, I think that's something you took from J-Rob. You've told me this on several occasions. J-Rob's the one who you said you went and you wrestled a duel in Minneapolis and there were 20 people there.
When I was in college, we'd go wrestle in Minnesota, and then, there's 5,000 people next door at the hockey game, but 20 people at the wrestling meet. And he did some amazing things just in marketing and promotions, and really built Minnesota into a national power.
And like you said, it's your job. I think a lot of us, like, we want to, that's marketing's job. That's whatever, not compliance, but there's so many departments within an athletic department: marketing, right, compliance, nutrition. There's all these different departments do you have within a college athletic department. I think we want to pass the buck, but it comes down to it. You want it done, you got to get it done yourself. And
wrestlers are perfect guys. That's kind of the mentality they have.
And that's like, I like working with wrestling people, like these businesses I work with. Like, for example, I got a Barbarian Apparel shirt on. That's a guy out of Cincinnati, Josh Sassby. Yep. Dude, the guy's a worker, man. The guy's a worker. I have bottles of Defense soap, which I've given you and we've done plugs for. That's Guy and Gus Seiko, Charlie Agazzino. Those guys are hustlers, man. They work hard, and they're putting out the best products out there. And you know what you're getting with those guys. You know what you're getting. You know that if Sassby messes an order up, he's going to make the order right. You know that I think he has it on a guarantee on this bottle. You can actually call like a hotline on Defense soap, and if you don't like it, they give you your money back.
We actually use some of their products for different things, and they've been unbelievably good for us to work with.
And then when, just in that sense, if there's something wrong, Joel, and you call Guy or Gus Seiko or Charlie Agazzino, they're gonna make it right. And that is because, what's it because? It comes back to what we're just talking about. They're what? What's their background? They're wrestlers. There you go. And that's why, like, those guys, man, it's a no-brainer for me to work with those guys. And And I think you guys do your gear store through Compound and Cliff Fretwell. I've seen that before. So
We've done it through a bunch of different guys. I mean, we've done it through Compound and Cliff, and we've done it through Rudis, and we had a Adidas store. And I'm trying to think who else. We move it around a little bit, but that's one of those things. Is I'm just concerned about getting Ohio gear out there.
yeah.
I want Zeb Miller as a fan or as a parent to come to Ohio University wrestling matches wearing Ohio University wrestling gear.
Hey, just so you know, about 255 right now. I've crested at the 260 mark, and then I came back down because I started running again, and we hike every day. But yeah, we hike a lot, man. We hike a lot. The last 2 days were crazy. My kid climbed up this like real steep hill in this out of the Chagrin River Valley, and I'm like, I got so nervous because I had the little one in front of me. I had to have my hands on him the whole time, and the other one, Ferdinand, the 4-year-old, he was in front of me, and I kept worrying about him tumbling back, and I kept being like, no, fall on your face and slide, and like we were just talking about that stuff. But back to it, double X if you were wondering, double X. Double X. Double X. And that was the next thing I was going to ask you, Joe. It looks like you're in the office, or are you at home? Where are you? Do you have access to the convo right now?
Actually, I had to get a couple of papers from the convo, so I'm sitting in there, but I usually work from home. I just had to get a couple of things to finish some, university concur paperwork, which is our credit card system.
Concur expense report. Concur expense report?
Yeah.
Yeah. I got you. So you'll be able to slide on into the equipment room, grab some double X sweats or whatever. That's cool. I appreciate that.
That place is like Fort Knox.
No, I know, man. I get it. Joel, what's it like been running a program under this whole situation? You don't have access to the guys in person. You might have Zoom meetings. It's really a lot on their own right now. They don't really even have access. Well, they do, but everything's remote like this.
Yep.
Very different than seeing somebody, being able to talk to them and see what they got with them. Or I don't know, if a guy has been out late, you can't tell in this if someone's been out partying or what they've been doing. It's very different. You get what I'm saying, right? Like seeing someone in person is very different from a Zoom meeting. It's very different from a video chat.
A pretty cool thing is our university, when this whole started, our athletic department, our athletic director brought us this thing called teamwork. So it's easy to text guys. It's easy to send them emails, to give them reminders and all that. And to me, that's kind of a double-edged sword a little bit. You don't want to send them so much stuff. They look at it and they stop reading it because you're sending them something every 20 minutes. So if I send them something, I want it to mean something, so I try to keep it to a minimum. We have weekly Zoom calls. We give them suggestion workouts and different things they can do, which I kind of said earlier, that's kind of hard because, Zeb Miller might have a great setup in his garage or basement, and then Joel Greenlee's got, nothing. But I'm a firm believer in something's better than nothing, So, and I think, when we're allowed to get back on the mat and we're allowed to start competing and we're allowed to do all those things again, the guys that worked hard during this time, it'll really pay off. You'll see those guys really kind of excel, and the guys that didn't, they're going to struggle a little bit. So, and we just try to get that point across that, to me, the beauty of wrestling, and when I really kind of started to reach the upper levels of wrestling, is I knew what to do, when to do it, how to do it, and I did it. Some of that I had to figure out, but I figured it out.
When you look at, back on your career and, it's just such a different landscape, but you started to feel like your college coach told you, who was the head coach at UNI when you were there, Joel?
Don Briggs.
Don Briggs.
Yep.
So Don Briggs saw, maybe he didn't see something like this coming, but he saw the future of the sport was in decline with Title IX, gender equity. Like it's just so much different now. Kids aren't different.
When I started college, there were over 200 Division I college wrestling programs.
Wow. When did you graduate from high school, Joel?
1984.
Okay. And what was your first year on the U.S. national team?
My sophomore year in college, so 87.
80. You were a top 3 guy on the freestyle ladder in 87.
Yeah, After my sophomore year.
Jeez, Pete. And like, weren't you like an 89 pounder as a senior, or like a tall?
Yeah, the weight at the time was 185. So
you were an 85 as a senior.
Yeah.
So how tall is Justin compared to your brother, your younger brother?
I think he's probably two. I'm about 6'4". He's about 6'6".
So the Greenlees, when you saw them in high school, looked like basketball players.
Yeah. I think Justin, for that matter, I think the weight at the time was 167. He wrestled that his sophomore year. I wrestled 185 all 4 years. And I think Justin wrestled 67, 85 heavyweight is kind of how his growth curve went. And then he was a heavyweight all 4 years in college. And I wrestled my redshirt year and my freshman year. I wrestled 190 in college.
Oh, I didn't know you wrestled 190 at all.
Yeah.
Did you qualify at 190?
Yeah. I was around 12 guy my freshman year.
And then
got beat by Big Pump and
by Rex Steiner?
Yeah.
Big Pump beat you. Was he as gassed up then as he is 10 years ago?
No, because the weight was 190. He was big and strong, I'll say that.
How bad he beat you?
By 1.
Jeez, Pete. And was that your freshman or sophomore year?
Freshman year.
And then sophomore year, you 90 again?
No, I moved up to heavyweight that year.
Hey, Jim Nielsen, Big Jim from BYU.
Yeah.
Jim Nielsen just said hello, by the way, on the chat.
Tell him I said hi.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He can hear you. Did you guys hit at the NCAAs ever?
We wrestled in freestyle, I think. I mean, you got to remember, for me, that was a long time ago. I don't remember everybody, but I think it was in freestyle that we wrestled.
Yeah, Jim's a good guy. I met him out in Washington this summer at a camp in Spokane. Actually, in Cheney at Eastern Washington. Good guy, and he's a trainer for he does training trips. He's an athletic trainer. Really good guy. But yeah, I love looking back. Another guy I see out there is his kid's transferring to Ohio State. Dave Orndorff. Did you and Dave wrestle?
Yeah, you know what? I should know this because we wrestled Utah Valley this year, and his dad came to watch and came up, and we talked briefly after the match. So I think he was a senior my sophomore year, maybe.
And then he made the finals your sophomore year that year. Did you place as a sophomore?
No. I think I might have been the 3rd seed. Lost in a controversial match in the quarters, and then just bonehead young guy stuff. I can't win it. Who cares? Type of stuff.
Did your guy have to make the finals for you to be pulled back in then?
No. I don't think it was ever they had to make the finals. I think my freshman year they might have had to make the semis, and then after that it changed to true double elimination, I believe.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not 100% positive, but that's what I think happened.
I don't know what we were doing with that whole system. I'm sorry. That's idiotic. Do you want to say hi real quick? You want to say hi? Here, we got Thomas. This is Thomas.
Hey, Thomas, how are you?
Say hi.
Still got
No.
your Batman jammies on?
Batman jammas, and then he's got a Superman slap bracelet. And he's a
All
real
right.
piece of work, too. Real piece of work. I named him after my dad. So you know he's got to be a real piece of work. All right, in there with mom and brother. Go. So yeah, that whole system, it's crazy to think that there were 200 D1 programs. Hey Joel, when you came up, Waverly wasn't it was like you and your brother. It wasn't like Waverly was like what Graham is or what
No. I mean, they'd have some individual success and state titles before I got there. I think my sophomore year I was kind of I didn't really know what was going on. I just liked to wrestle. In my sophomore year, I won the districts and went to state. I was the only guy. And I think my junior year there might have been two of us, and my senior year there might have been two or three of us as well.
What's the age difference between you and Justin?
5 years.
5 years. So
We trained a lot together in college, and if he was sitting next to me, he'd probably say he beat me, and I'm going to say I beat him. So, in freestyle we wrestled one time, and I actually won that match. But I'd say in the wrestling we had battles. I mean, he was pretty goddamn good on top. That bottom was probably my kryptonite as far as the college wrestler goes, and man, he was tough to wrestle.
Okay, right now, I got to know right now, what are you, 54? 53?
Yeah.
54. So Justin's 49.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, he flies from Ames or wherever he lives. He flies into Columbus. He drives down to Athens. You strap up in the convo. Who wins?
Dogfight. You know what? He's probably better shaped than I am. He's a little thinner. I'll give myself the weight advantage.
Oh, I love it. Well, he's a professor now. Is he still at Iowa State?
He's a doctor. So he got his doctor of veterinary medicine, and he got his PhD in animal pathology, and he works for the FDA. He's a scientist for the FDA.
So Justin works for the FDA. Does he still live in Iowa?
Yeah, he lives in Ames.
He still lives in Ames, okay. Because he was a professor at Iowa State, right?
His wife is.
Wife is? Okay. But he what did he do for a while? Was he working at Iowa State in some capacity?
He was at one point in time, I believe.
Okay. All right. So that I love to hear that you guys, that there were some good scraps. When did you guys wrestle? Where? Where'd you wrestle your baby brother?
Vegas.
Vegas? How bad you beat him?
I don't know. I remember more of the situation than the actual score or what happened. We both wrestled for the New York Athletic Club, and Sonny Greenhall was the coach at the time. And he came up to me and said, "Hey, you got your brother this round. I don't think you guys should wrestle." And I go, you know what, whatever, we can wrestle. He's like, "Nah, you guys shouldn't wrestle." And I go, "Okay, But he forfeits to me. I don't forfeit to him.
So you guys wrestled. You wrestled.
So then he goes to Justin, and Justin's like, "Nah, I think we should wrestle, blah, blah, blah." And Sonny's like, "I don't think you should." And Justin pretty much said, "Hey, you know what, that's fine, but he forfeits me to me. I don't forfeit to him." We wrestle in practice all the time. He says he wins. I say I win. Let's figure it out. So we figured it out.
You won, though.
Yeah, I mean, I was obviously older and had been wrestling freestyle a lot. On the freestyle circuit at that time quite a bit. So, it was fun. It was memorable. It was,
How many U.S. national teams did you make total, Joel?
You know what? I don't really know.
Is it double digits?
I'd say somewhere 6, 8.
6, 8. And was it all? It was always Bruce in front of you. Always.
Yeah, when I was younger, it was a scrap. Tom Erickson was one of the best guys out there. Bruce was one of the best guys out there. You look back at it and you look at, man, Rulon Gardner was wrestling freestyle at the time. Jafari was wrestling freestyle at the time. There was a lot of good heavyweights.
Is Erickson the one that fought in Pride?
You know what? I'm not real up on all that stuff, but I know he was doing some type of MMA. I don't know the difference between.
Oh,
UFC,
I think it's Severn.
Pride.
I think it was Severn. I think it was Dan Severn.
I wrestled him too.
And then Dan Severn has an older brother too, doesn't he?
No, he's got a younger. Dan's I don't know about oldest, but he's the older. And Rod wrestled at Arizona State. I wrestled him in college actually, and he's younger.
Okay, he's younger. Okay, I thought he might have been older. Okay, I just listen. I'm a nostalgia man. If you haven't noticed, I love it. I love it. Where do we go from here, Joel? What do we gotta? I know you don't have all the answers, but how do we change this for a positive for wrestling, man? How do we take a crisis, COVID-19 crisis, and how do we advance the sport? How do we create more meaningful rivalries? What more can we do, man?
Well, I think you're already seeing a lot of pretty cool things out of different programs. I know, like we tried to do some stuff for our national qualifiers, some stuff for our seniors, some stuff for important guys on our team, and we're going to continue to do that on Twitter and Facebook and stuff like that. I think, I know Ohio State and UVA have virtual banquets and awards, and I think all that stuff's pretty cool. Keeps your fans engaged, keeps them involved. As far as the guys go, I think, I tell our guys this all the time. When I was in college, over the summer, I had a job where I worked 40 hours a week, got done working, went and lift weights, went and wrestled after that, went and ate supper, ran sometime later at night. And I'm not saying I did that every day, but that's what I did a lot. And probably did 5 years of that, and I don't know if I ever saw a coach. All right. So I think this is going to take a little bit of, and we were there for our guys every day, whether it was lifting or running or wrestling. I think it's going to take, now it's a little bit on their own responsibility. They're figuring out what to do. They're going to become better wrestlers because of that. So I think you focus on what you can do, not what you can't do.
Yeah, and it was funny you asked me, you said, hey, you know this guy, you were shooting me some names, you know this guy, you know that guy. You guys are doing a ton of recruiting right now, but it's just not like getting a kid down to Athens and letting them walk on the brick streets and up and down the hills and see what that place is like, because it's such a cool campus. Is it hard to recruit now with the virtual and phone calls and texting? Is it hard?
I think it's hard because that's probably that's my weakest area. I don't like to be on the phone a ton. I don't like to text. My thumbs are this big. So every other word's misspelled.
Let me see those bad boys again. Oh my God! It looked like rolls of Sacagawea coins, dude. Oh my God!
My assistant was Kyle Hansen for years and years and years, and we were at a tournament, and I'm pretty notorious for sending a text message and it's got at least one word screwed up in it or whatever, just because my thumbs are so big and I hit the wrong letter or number or whatever. And I sent him a text message, boom, didn't even look at it, stuck my phone back in my pocket, didn't hear from him, and I get just question marks back. And I look at the text message, I couldn't make out one word. I even knew what I sent him and I couldn't make out one word.
Hey, did you see the call this year at the high school tournament, the Maumee Bay Classic? It was Hansen's guy in the finals. Did you see that no call?
Yeah, I saw it. I saw it.
How did he not lose his mind?
Actually, I talked to him on the way home.
Oh my, that
He
was
was driving
bad.
home from that tournament. We were driving home from the tournament. And, you know, he's a pretty reasonable guy when it comes to that stuff. And he's like, yeah, you shouldn't have let it come down to that. So,
Oh man, but like it was awesome because someone's like, "Who's this guy with the winter coat and the ball cap on?" And I'm like, "Well, it's Kyle Hansen, you idiots."
you ought to see his beard now.
Oh, it's
Oh,
so
man.
strong, so strong. What does he do up there now? Does he work at the
Um,
school?
he lives in Brighton, and obviously he's coaching wrestling, and then um, uh,
He works at the school doing something, I think, like security
yeah,
or something.
he was working at the school. He's like one of those indoor sports facilities, kind of the manager of that.
God, okay. So he's still working, he's still involved. And his wife works up there. They went there for his wife's job, didn't they?
Yeah, I think she works at the University of Michigan now, actually.
Yeah. That's crazy. That's crazy. Joel, do we have a time frame? I know they extended to May 31st. Do we have a time frame when you guys can start getting guys back down on campus at all?
Uh, I don't know that that's going to be across the board. Hey, you know what? May 31st, it opens up for everybody. I could see it, you know, kind of how they're opening the country back up, for lack of a better word. It might be different in some different spots. Um, I would be surprised if it was before July 1st.
Okay.
To be honest, I mean, I don't know anything. Nobody said anything to me. I would just, I don't know why I think that. That's just kind of what I think.
Yeah.
June 15th, July 1st, somewhere in there, I think would be a good. And it's all going to depend on what happens. I mean, you watch the news now, and they're talking about opening the country back up and all that stuff in the next few weeks. And I'd say if numbers keep going down, we're in good shape. If numbers flare back up, oh boy.
Are all the parents and families of your guys good, or have you heard any cases of people having it? I talked to T.R. Foley. He works for UWW, journalist, All-American for University of Virginia. T.R. Foley had COVID-19,
Wow.
and he quarantined in his parents' house in at where ODU is, Norfolk.
Yeah.
Joel, I didn't bring ODU up, but I'm going to bring it up. Did you guys see that comment? And did that send some shockwaves through you guys? And did that get you guys on edge a little bit with what happened to Old Dominion? And I'll tell you what, Old Dominion tougher nails. Martin could recruit. They had a great dual team. They had an All-American in Pittsburgh. I mean, that's a viable program. It's one of the best on the campus. What did you guys think of that when that decision came down from Old Dominion?
You know, losing any wrestling program hurts. I mean, to me, it was shocking. It wasn't a program that you kind of looked at and thought, "Oh my gosh, they're on the edge." But I don't know a lot about campus there either, as far as you know, what their Title IX situation was, what their budget situation was, any of that stuff. You know, so yes, it hurts. Yes, are you concerned? Do I know enough about it to say, oh my goodness? I don't. I mean, you know, I think it goes back to one of those things. They were so set on being Division I in football that they joined a conference that's spread out all over the country, and it's going to take a lot of money to do that for all sports, not just football. You know, because is it Conference USA they were in?
Yeah, they're in a conference that they're out kicking their coverage on their conference.
So they have teams in Texas. So you're going to have to fly to Texas, and you know that's.
Well, then you have to send the equipment semi to Texas too.
Yeah.
Think about that. That was something where it was just a shockwaves though, man. It's like these gut punches. It's like Eastern Michigan after Cleveland, and then No, those guys after this year and the cancellation. It feels like a lot of these, like the ones we've seen where they've dropped Olympic sports. It feels like it's easy for athletic directors to blame it on this crisis.
Well, I think you have to pay attention to what's going on around you. Like um, Bob Bowlesby was the athletic director at Northern Iowa when I was an athlete there, and when I first got hired as an assistant wrestling coach. I was somewhere and he did a presentation and he talked about the cost of attendance and unlimited meals um, costing $2 million, and that was something that was gonna hurt Olympic sports. Well, 2 years after that, or a year and a half after that, Eastern Michigan drops wrestling, and what they say they're over budget, $2 million.
There you go.
So, I understand all of the the cost of attendance and the unlimited meals, and I understand that stuff, but I also think, you know, you're here to be a student, you're here to be an athlete. It's something you want to do. Man, make it kind of be college athletics again.
How do I asked you if all of your guys, if their families are good. How do you keep track of all of them? And are you guys even gonna know? Are you getting reports on grades and stuff like that? Are you still getting all that stuff?
We are. Our academic service staff does an unbelievable job, and we get a, hey, this guy didn't turn in this or whatever, and that was my biggest concern. And they have virtual tutors and all that kind of stuff, but that was my biggest concern going home, because you know, you were on 5 years of different wrestling teams, and there were some guys that were super diligent and did what they were supposed to do, and there are some guys that needed gentle reminders. You know, if you could put it that way, and it's hard to give those guys gentle reminders when they're at home. You know, I'm a little bit more detached because of that. You know, sometimes they're in a situation where mom and dad really don't understand. You know, you're home from college, so we need help. Get out and work in the yard or on the farm or whatever it might be. And we just tried to get guys squared away, and you have to carve out time every day. You know, you have to carve out time every day to do your schoolwork. And it can't be, I worked all day, I played video games, and then at 10 o'clock I'm going to start working on this, because they're like I am. At 10 o'clock I'm ready to cash it in, sit on the couch, do nothing, and then go to bed. All right. So you have to carve out time. You have to have a pretty good schedule. And we just try to get that point across to them.
It's not easy though, too, because like you're saying, the general reminders, hey, we have a meeting in my office. That's just not a thing now. Or hey, meet me in the wrestling room. Or hey, I'll be down in the locker room.
And you know, guys are all over the board as far as the online learning or the virtual learning goes. You know, some professors are really into it and have Zoom classes, and you know, they have something regular class time every day, and other professors are choose to do it a different way, as far as maybe they're just emailing them assignments or do this, do that. You know, I don't know how great some guys are about checking emails and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, I think you know, whether it has or hasn't, but it's going to force them to be a little bit more diligent in those things.
Okay. So I know we've been on here for over almost an hour, just under an hour, but I got one more. I got a question about the beard.
Yeah.
I see it. And you've always had jet black hair for the most part when I've seen you. There's a little gray. You're 54. You know, I always talk to the Silver Fox, you know, Joe McFarland, and then in Cleveland, he didn't mention to me that he would be retiring.
Yeah.
So how much tread's left on the tire for Joe Greenlee?
You know, that's a great question. I mean, hey, I love what I do. I'm still excited about it. I still think I work hard at it. I still think I have a lot to offer guys. Um, you asked me in college, and I think I believed it at the time, and I tell the story is, man, I don't know if I'll live to be 50. So, and then I turned 50, and I'm like, well, 50 is not so bad. So, I don't know. I think you have to. I think at some point in time, hey, yes, you are going to start slowing down. So, um, obviously, I think over the years we've changed and adapted the way I do things. Anyway, um, I think you look at our football coach, for instance, Frank Solis, and I don't want to make him older than he is, but I think he's either 72 or 73 years old, and you wouldn't know it. All right, and I still think he's putting a good product on the field, and he's still doing the things he needs to do to be successful. For me, you sit down and you look at the end of every year, and am I capable of doing what I need to do? Am I capable of relating to young people? Am I capable of running the program? And to me, when you answered, "Hey, you know what? I don't think I did the job I needed to do," that's when it's time to go. So that's kind of a poor answer to your question, but that's about the best I can do.
How are the assistants doing? Heffernan and Sponseller. Those you only have those. Those are the only two you have, right?
Correct.
How are they doing with this, and how do you even know what they're doing? Is it just a constant back and forth between you three every day?
Yeah, I think they're two totally different personalities. Heffernan, I think, is driving crazy. He's getting a workout every day. The other day, my wife and I are walking on the bike path, and I see this guy with looks like his knees hurt and his back hurts and his hips hurt, running down the bike path, coming towards us. And as he's getting closer and closer, I'm like, I think that's Heffernan. Well, and he's running 12 miles every day.
What a maniac! What is that guy doing?
He lives in an apartment in town, and it's driving him nuts. Spahns, on the other hand, has bought a house and is fixing it up, and he's got millions of projects going, and is it driving him nuts that he can't work out and be with the guys? Yes, without a doubt. But he just handles it in a different way, and we don't even talk every day, to be honest. We text probably every day and talk every other. Hey, what are we doing recruiting wise? How'd your conversations with this guy go? Have you got a hold of him? All that kind of stuff. And so it's different for everybody. For me, I try to get a workout in every day, and I live on 15 acres and got a lot of grass to mow and a couple horses, and I work in the morning and early afternoon, and I go do some stuff and around the house and pick up this, clean up that, and come back and make some calls at night and do it all over.
And your kids go to Ohio U?
My son has already graduated from Ohio U. My daughter is in her third year now.
And are you still the cash machine?
I mean, they obviously they both done an outstanding job of, really kind of providing for themselves. Did we help them out? Without a doubt. Did we give them all the money they needed? No. My son's got a great job, so for him, no. My daughter, a little bit. She had really 3 different jobs, all kind of revolved around the university or college lifestyle, and once this happened, she lost all 3 of them. I mean, I don't know about lost them, but they're on hold until things open back up. So I've been a little bit more lenient with her, and if Dad needs help, Dad will call her. And, I was selling some stuff on eBay, Craigslist, whatever. I was like, if you come out and take pictures of it and post it up there, I'll give you 10% of whatever we sell for you. Mowing grass, why don't you come out and help me pick up sticks, and I'll pay you $10 an hour. So, stuff like that for her.
And he move to Florida? Wasn't that him?
Moved to Florida when the COVID-19 hit. They kind of got the stay-at-home, work-from-home thing, and he loves to be out on the water and has a boat. And he was kind of doing that for a week or two, and then they shut down the boat ramps and the beaches, and so then he was stuck at home. And then his roommate went home, and he's like, "I'm out of here." He's living in our house now. So
does he still work remotely?
Yeah, like he's pretty diligent about it. He's up every morning. They have a kind of a early morning Zoom call, and he's in on that, and he works pretty much in a room with the door shut most of the day, and at 5 o'clock he wanders out, and that's that.
Hey, did he graduate from high school with Joe Burrow?
He did.
So they're the same class, and they went to high school together.
Both my son and daughter were in college or not in college, excuse me, in high school with Joe. My daughter was 2 years behind him, and then Walker was in the same class.
So him and Walker, they walked together for the graduation.
Yeah.
Tonight's draft. Who you got? Who you got first round? Who the Bengals taking?
I think Joe Burrow. What an awesome story for all the kids in Athens, and he's a super. I know him, but I don't. I know enough to say, "Hey, hi, how you doing?" But I don't know him. But everything I know about him, he's a great kid, and super hard worker, does all the right things. So what a great role model for the kids in Athens and in the Athens community. So I think everybody around here is super excited. Obviously that he had such a great career at LSU and Ohio State, but even more so to have him go to the Bengals and hopefully have a great career there as well.
They can't. I don't know if the Bengals can mess this up. I'm going to be honest with you. You got to take him. You got to take him.
I think so, but there's been crazier things that happened at the last minute, so.
Yeah. The draft has a history of that, right? I mean, the draft is the draft. Like, if you look at Elway, if you look at Eli Manning, I'm not going to play for this team or that team. I just don't think the Burrows roll like that. As a matter of fact, his dad was one of your coworkers.
Yeah. His whole family's super great. So I don't think so either. Excited to see what happens. Excited for the Athens community. Excited for the Burrows, but I expect them to be a Bengal, but I don't know.
Do they still live there? Do the Burrows still live around Athens?
Yeah, I think during this whole thing, Joe's at home in the Plains.
Are you serious? He's there?
Yeah, I think. I mean, I don't know, but I thought I heard my son say he was over in that area and saw him drive by. So
that's crazy. That's awesome, man. And then did you see how the food bank and all that went with him?
Heck yeah, that was like $400,000 or $500,000 after his Heisman speech.
So awesome, man. So awesome. And you know what, man? That's just crazy because they started. He was born in Nebraska, I want to say, because they were in Nebraska with Solich, weren't they?
You know what?
I'm pretty sure that's how it happened, Joel.
Sure, but I think he might have been born in Ames, Iowa, because his dad was a football coach there.
And then they went to Nebraska, and then when the whole staff came with Solich, is when he came as like a boy.
No, he came a couple years after Frank got here, to be honest. I mean, his dad was defensive coordinator at North Dakota State, I believe.
Okay.
But I just remember seeing, through the Heisman and all that stuff, kind of a video clip of him running around on the football field at Ames High. He was like 2 years old, and his dad was the high school coach at Ames High. So I think I'm not 100% sure, but I think he was actually born in Ames
Okay.
and then went to Lincoln, then North Dakota, and then Athens. I want to say they were, Walker was in third grade when Joe moved here.
Okay. He was a boy. He was an elementary school boy. Okay.
Mhm.
You know what? I want you to think about that right there. You just described their path and all the moves they made. Think about how lucky you've been in the 22 years, 23 years now, because you were the interim coach 97, 98. Think about it. Joel Greenlee hasn't had to move all around the country.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I've had a couple opportunities to move, but I really love the Athens community. I love Ohio University. I think we've grown as a program, obviously, scholarship-wise, support staff-wise, budget-wise, since I've been here. So there's not a lot of better places.
All right. We're over an hour. I got classes coming up here. Like I cut you off the last time, but that was only like 6 or 7 minutes. What would you say, last thing, what would you say to kids who are coming in, maybe they're seniors now and they're coming into the Athens program and at Ohio University? What do you say to the kids, the parents of the future program, and what's the future look like for you guys, and what are your expectations, and what would you say to, like, whether it's ease their tension or let them know where you guys stand on this whole commitment to, their kid coming to getting a great student athlete experience at Ohio University?
Well, I think to make the most of whatever situation you're in and have a positive attitude about it. I'm super excited for the future of Ohio wrestling right now. I think we've got one of the best group of kids we've ever had. I'm really expecting us to have great seasons in the coming years. I think the guys we've brought in are not only great wrestlers, but great students and great citizens. And I think the big thing is, just get involved in it. You have 5 years to be the best you can be at this. Do everything in your power to make the most out of those 5 years. And so when you look back on it, you have no regrets.
Awesome, Joel. I like it. I like the commitment to it, and hopefully we see you there through those 5 years to 59.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Hey, you got anything else for me?
I don't. No, I appreciate you having me on today. Like we talked about earlier, I think that's super important that people get involved and sign that petition and let the NCAA know that we think Olympic sports, not just wrestling, but all sports are important, and they have a place in college athletics. And it'll be a tough time for a few years, but we'll get through it.
Awesome, Joel. I appreciate the time. Hey, stick around after I cut these 2 videos. I'm going to talk to you off camera a little bit afterwards. But
all right, sounds good.
Awesome, Joel. Thank you for the time. You're the man, and stick around a little bit here, all right?
All right, thank you.